Hello, and welcome to the new episode of the podcast, The Voice Within. Today we're going to talk about one very interesting subject or topic, and it's willingness to sit with the decision, but not to stay stuck, how we often tend to do, to stay stuck in our decisions because we don't know which choice to choose, which direction to take. So often we believe that decision we're supposed to make should come as some clarity, like some light, that there is a single moment when we just gonna know what we're supposed to do. But in reality, decisions are rarely that much simple. True decisions, the ones that actually move our life forward, they come from our readiness or willingness to sit with them long enough to find the real answer. Not to rush them out of fear, not to stay stuck in hesitation, but to sit in that space where the truth has a chance to emerge, where the truth has a chance to come out. I've been in this space for a few months now. The decision to transition my podcast to English wasn't something I just woke up one day and I just knew what I was supposed to do. It was something I literally was sitting with for months, something that I questioned, something that I tried to understand. And why is that? Because every time when I thought to go fully English, I felt like I'm exposing myself too much. And at the same time, I felt like I'm betraying my mother tongue and my language and my roots, my culture, if I transfer everything in English. So instead of endlessly looping in uncertainty, I allowed myself to genuinely explore the discomfort I was feeling. And in that process, I found the answer that had been waiting for me all of this time. When people say I am sitting with decision, it can mean one of the things. The first thing, it could mean they are actually giving themselves space to process their decision fully. They are allowing different angles, emotions, and fears to come on top. But they are actively engaging with the decision rather than avoiding that decision. And the second, they are using sitting with decision as a mask for avoidance. They are kind of looping in the same spot. They are applying the same doubts over and over again, but they are not actually looking for clarity. They are looking for a way to delay their own actions. The difference between these two is basically awareness. Are you asking new questions and discovering more about what do you truly want, or you are just repeating the same doubts in the circle, hoping that if you wait long enough, that fear of the new decision will disappear? Because the truth is, fear will never completely disappear. I have fear now while recording this podcast because it's extremely hard to let my voice and let my message go in the world in completely different language. And for the months I was recording my podcast in Bosnian language and it felt natural. And now I'm feeling like I'm starting from the beginning, even I recorded so many episodes. So clarity is not absence of fear. It's the willingness to move forward even when we are afraid, when we are scared. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck is the fear of getting it wrong. What if this is wrong decision? What if this is wrong choice? What if I regret? What if I regret it later? What if I fail and I cannot go back? But here is the thing. Staying stuck in not making decision, in indecision, is also decision. We decide not to make decision. It is decision to stay exactly where you are. And more often than not, we already know the answer. We are just afraid to acknowledge it. If you take a step back and ask yourself, if I had to decide right now with no time to overthink, what would I choose? That instinct, that answer which comes immediately, usually is the right one. The discomfort doesn't come from not knowing. It comes from not trusting what we already know. It's coming from not believing into our own answers. So for months, I felt this growing discomfort, this knowing that my work was meant to reach a wider audience, but I resisted it because of everything I believed about what does it mean to switch my podcast in English. So I had the thoughts like, if I switch to English, I'm leaving my country, I'm leaving my community, I will feel less authentic to myself. Am I ready to communicate in the language that, even though I'm fluent in, isn't my native language? So instead of shutting down these thoughts, I let myself sit with them, but not in a passive way, in a way that actually led me somewhere deeper. And what I found from all of these months of sitting with the decision, I found out this. I wasn't afraid of switching to English. I was afraid of what that switching symbolized. I wasn't losing connection with my roots. I was expanding to the space where my work could exist. I wasn't betraying my authenticity. I was stepping into the new level of it. So I let myself explore that discomfort of making decision, not as a way to delay decision, but as a way to find a deeper understanding of it. And that truth wasn't about language at all. From the beginning, the more I was digging deeper, I realized it was never about the language. It was about allowing myself to grow beyond the limits I had placed on my work. There is a fine line between giving yourself space to process and hiding behind the idea that you are still thinking about it. And a lot of people say they are still deciding on some life decisions, but what they are really doing is waiting to feel zero doubt and zero fear before they make decision. They are hoping that the fear will disappear before they act. They are avoiding responsibility for actually choosing something. And clarity doesn't come before action. It comes through action. You won't never know for sure that you made the right decision until you live inside of that decision. You won't feel completely ready until you step in it. And if you are still not sure, ask yourself this. Do I really need more time, or I'm just afraid to acknowledge everything I already know? At some point, you have to decide whatever is that big decision you're trying to make in your life, not just intellectually, but fully. Because half decision, they drain more energy than just choosing decisions. Staying in that space where you cannot make decision keeps you stuck. So instead of asking, what if I make the wrong choice, try to ask yourself, what if I stay exactly where I am, doing exactly what I'm doing for the next 5 years? How does that feel? Does that idea feels good? Does it activate you? Or does it feel like a slow, quiet kind of suffocation? Because if the answer is clear, then the real question isn't whatever you should take the next step. The real question is, why are you still hesitating? This podcast episode isn't just about decision. It's about the way we relate to them. It's about choosing to sit with the decision long enough to find real clarity, but not so long that we use waiting as the mask to fear, as the mask to don't make no decision. This podcast episode is about recognizing that sometimes the clarity we think we are waiting for is already here. We just haven't admitted it yet because we are afraid. So if there is something in your life that you are been hesitating on, some decision that you are delaying, if there is a decision that has been sitting heavy on your chest for way too long, ask yourself, am I still processing this, or am I just afraid to say yes to what I already know? That will be it for this podcast episode, and I hope you enjoyed and you find the value in it, and we stay in touch next Sunday in the next podcast episode.